The study has shown that medical marijuana can help to fight cancer. What other medical benefits does it have? Let's find out in today's episode. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Soul Seeker podcast. This is your host, Robin Sharma, and today we have a very interesting topic. We are going to touch one part of the whole segment that we are going to do, which is on marijuana. Somebody call it weed, somebody call it ganja, somebody call it Gaza, somebody call it Tama. So there are different names, but we will be using marijuana and cannabis as a reference name. So if you have, I think everybody knows about cannabis, but just to give you a short introduction, it is a plant that grows usually by itself if you plant a seed, and it has different chemicals, ingredients that it comes with. It calls THC, CBD, CBN, and they have different properties which kind of affect on your body in a very different way. It has mental and physical effect. It gets you high. There are different ways. It is like a psychoactive drug that is being used as well, and pretty interestingly, there's an evidence showing that it has been smoked as psychoactive drug for the psychoactive effect, something that we call high, for almost 2,500 years ago in Panami Mountain, which is in Central Asia, in Tajikistan and borders of China. In this world today, there is not a single country where there is no consumption of this product, meaning that it is either consumed legally or it is consumed illegally. But people, since the dawn of human civilization, when they found out this plant, they have somehow been with it for a very long time. And in the past, it was also used for spiritual purposes. And if you want to know, how does this actually used as a spiritual purposes, which I will be covering in my future podcast. But to be very precise, it is only in this 20th century that the marijuana has been subjected to restriction, meaning that it was just a plant who was just there and people were consuming it, people were making medical use of it, people were making product out of the plant. But now in 20th century there has been restriction that has come due to I don't know. There are so many reasons, and we might be even looking into it, why the restriction happened and how it happened. Especially countries like Nepal, which is kind of very in unique position, which can capitalize this plant. So just to give you a modern perspective, is we there has been a lot of research done in last decade in cannabis, because USA has legalized marijuana in different states, and it is almost getting legalized in federal level as well. So if you actually see how the progress of this marijuana, that was just a plant which was used mostly for just a recreational purposes, for just getting like high. How medical industry has been advantages to it, especially people who have severe diseases and how they are being treated. So today in this episode, I will be talking about few medical advantage that this plant brings to different diseases, and what are the kind of problems that it actually solves. So people have a lot of questions that, okay, Robin, why there has been no study done in this field till now? So the reason has been is because it was been restricted. Since the medical research people were not easily accessing this product, and it was not a legal product to do some studies and to do a controlled test, and to actually produce result that could be published in proper science journals, was not happening for a very long time. So there has been a lot of restriction. And as a most rigorous scientific study of cannabis as a medicine has been hampered by the production restriction, and because it is classified as an illegal drug. But there are a few benefit. So I'll be talking about those benefit. Here they are. First, it relieves the chronic pain. It helps you to get away from the pain. Second, it helps you to lose weight. So usually people who are smoking marijuana, it actually helps you to lose weight. Third, regulate and prevent diabetes, low blood pressure, and improve blood circulation. Sounds pretty good. Fourth, it fights cancer. And that is quite interesting study that has been found, that there's enough evidence in scientist community which shows that it helps to fight cancer. Not every type of cancer, but there are few cancers. It helps you to fight against the cancer, which helps you to live longer, or which helps you in the treatment of it. And it is quite interesting because it is not a treatment that is made by man. It is a treatment that is made by nature. And I think as we are moving towards this whole natural world, it sounds a pretty good solution to me. Fifth one is it helps to treat depression. It stabilizes your mood, and its psychoactive agent helps you to build different reality than you have. It helps you to calm down, which I feel is a very interesting it could be a very interesting medicine for a lot of people who are going through different type of depression that we have. And I think almost everybody is going through certain level of depression because of a lot of things that is happening around. Sixth, it is also used in autism treatment, which is quite a big deal. Uh, it also helps to regulate seizure. Like there has been effect of cannabis on individual who have epilepsy. So people who are actually suffering from these severe diseases can actually be helped by this medicine. The eighth one is it helps to heal broken bones and make it tougher in the future. So can you imagine that like you have a broken bone and you gotta take marijuana as a medicine so that you can treat it, and study shows that it actually helps to make the bone even stronger. Like the healing process that goes inside your body actually increases quite fast. The ninth one is it helps in ATST/ADD. It's a special type of disease that people face. So the problem with this disease is that people have a very hard time to focus. They have a problem in their cognitive performance and concentration, and the study has shown that the medical prescription, the medicine that actually people have to take when they have this kind of disease, is quite, it has a very severe side effect. And and medical marijuana has become a very good alternative for people who go through this disease, which is quite, remarkable to figure out. And as a human being, we all need to understand that these are like very severe diseases, and we are able to cure with a very natural product. So so I'm moving forward in the tenth disease or treatment that this medical marijuana brings is a treatment of glaucoma. So it is so this disease is actually creates a pressure in your eyeball, which is very painful. And this is a very, unique type of diseases. And I'm pretty sure that, in Nepal there are so many diseases, especially like mental disease, or other disease that we don't even are really much aware about. But apparently there is a certain type of disease called glaucoma, and it creates a lot of pressure in your eyeball, and it's very painful. So it provides these people with a very agent to become a pain reliever. And 11, moving forward, the 11th, problem that it solves in medical through medical process is anxiety. The research in this shows that it cause, so it's quite interesting because there are a lot of research who shows that, smoking marijuana can actually cause anxiety. But in the recent studies that a lot of people have done is that people who are actually suffering very severe anxiety, if it is given in a controlled dosed, in a very controlled manner, it can help people to calm down. It can help people to, have a very clear thinking. So there might be a lot of instances where people who have smoked marijuana for the first time might feel really anxious and might feel really, really nausea and feeling dizzy and not feeling very comfortable in the position, or the effect that is happening in their body, which as a result, which shows that there's a lot of anxiety related to smoking marijuana. But the recent study shows that people who are actually facing very severe anxiety are able to kind of treat themselves through a very controlled and proper dose of marijuana. So this is quite how to say it's quite a revelation for me as well, because when I'm doing my research, I figure out that there's so much of things that I actually am not aware about. And to make a case when you want to legalize something in your country, especially something that is so controversial, you gotta have a proper backup answer for people who want to kind of defend against to it. Because as I see, I'm in my 11th problems that it could solve, and still there's so much of benefit. Let me go to the 12th one before I actually kind of say anything about it. So the 12th benefit that it has is that it slows down the development of Alzheimer's disease. And Alzheimer's disease, which is, I think, everybody must be aware, and if you're not, please Google it, because Alzheimer's disease is kind of caused by cognitive degeneration. And as we age, cognitive degeneration is almost inevitable. And it fights to contain the anti-inflammatories uh, that fights with the brain okay, let me pronounce that, inflammation that leads to Alzheimer's. So basically what it does is that there's a lot of brain information, like that is happening in your head, and it kind of treats itself to be an anti-inflammatory, which kind of helps you to slow down the process of Alzheimer's disease, which is quite phenomenon. It is quite amazing. 13, it deals with the pain linked to arthritis. It is used as a cream or balm, which is used by individuals that have arthritis. So the chemical THC and CBD helps you to deal with the pain. 14, reduces the risk of a side effect of hepatitis C treatment. So when somebody is suffering with hepatitis C, the treatment causes a lot of side effect. So, having marijuana medication during your treatment of hepatitis reduces the side effect of hepatitis C treatment. 15, helps in insomnia, meaning that people who are not able to sleep properly, people who are, and insomnia, I think, is a big problem in our generation. So it helps you to kind of calm your brain and helps you to get a proper sleep that your body requires, which is, I think, it is one of the phenomenon of, it's an amazing medication for a lot of people, because I think proper sleep just solves a lot of health issues in our body. And 16, which is, I think, is far more for me, because I know there are so many diseases that I talked about which you cannot find every day in your life, but you definitely can find the 16 that I'm going to talk, the last one I'm going to talk about, which is, helps with alcoholism, meaning that people with high alcoholic drinking problem have a safer way to transit from their addiction, which I think is a great way to treat people who have drinking problem. And I think it is one of the most amazing way to solve this huge alcohol addiction problem that we are facing. And somebody might say that we might have, another addiction, which is like a, marijuana addiction. But research has shown that the marijuana addiction is way less in percentage than the alcohol addiction that we have right now, which kinds of, which puts you in a very interesting perspective, because if you actually see, if this research has been done for, like, very few years, and there's still more research that are being conducted, and I'm pretty sure if one plant has so many medical benefits and has so many medical solutions to so many diseases, I don't think it is something that is subjected to be even illegal. That is like very morally wrong for us as a humanity to treat a very useful plant in such a way. So, it's quite a world that we lived, because as when I was growing up, it was always told that, marijuana, weed is a gateway to another drugs. But in fact, I don't believe that anymore, because I think if marijuana is legalized, the sales of other drugs will actually go down, and it has a very severe impact in the society as a whole. And I understand that there are rehabilitation centers who are going to be, not profiting from it, because if it is legalized, then there's so much of change that might happen. So, initially I genuinely believe that, bringing certain level of drastic change in a society does help you to move forward. And we as Nepalese society, which was kind of celebrating and, had licensed shops selling marijuana in public, is kind of subjected to this illegality through American government policies in last 50 years. And that changed our history for us, for this generation. And I think we have to correct that, because they have eventually taken a different path, And for us to not utilize this because of the resources we have, because of the history we have, because of the natural capabilities of producing one of the most highest quality of marijuana, which could be, used in medication all around the world, I think it is a very important to see how we are going to bring our economy back. And I think, as someone who is dependent on agriculture, as a country which has the highest number, like, most of the percentage of people are still involved in agriculture, has a huge advantage of capitalizing it and bringing it into a very good income for the country and for the people of this country. So, it kind of shades light into, there are been, proposals. So there's even a, bill that is due on the parliament, where they have kind of asked for legalization of medical marijuana cultivation, which I think is a very amazing proposal that has come forward, because I feel it is one of the solution for reviving our economy, especially after this crisis that we are facing right now because of corona. It is definitely in due. So when you hear all this medical benefit, when you hear all this economical benefit, you just go bizarre and you ask yourself, are there any countries who have actually done legalization? Tons of them. Just to start with, in 2013, Uruguay, a South American country, became the first to legalize it in the use of medication and recreation. It became the first country, and it was legalized in 2013, which is like 7 years ago. And some people, say, oh, Robin, this is a drug. People die from it. Scientists, and just to clear the fact, so that when somebody tells you this, you make them clear, you cannot die due to the overdose of cannabis. It is just impossible. And there has been no evidence where it shows that anybody has died because of overdose of using marijuana. And it is safer than any other drug that we find in the market, especially tobacco, cigarettes, alcohol. They are also part of addiction. They are also subjected to call as drug. We just don't see it that way, because we kind of think into a different compartments in our head to see alcohol and cigarette in a very different way, and marijuana, because it is classified as a drug and it is illegal, to be seen a very different way. But it is way, way safer. It's actually a medicine that your body can kind of uses to heal a lot of problems that you have in your body. So I don't see any harm that it has. Definitely, there has been scientific research. Different people react differently to this, but the risks are pretty low, and the harms that it does to your body is pretty low. So, which makes me to see that if there is no alternative for us to stop alcohol or cigarette, we rather introduce marijuana as well, so that people have a better alternative to kind of choose, so they can make a free choice on what they really want to use. And I think it could be a great way to revive Nepal economy. And we have been talking about something that we need as a country, because we are our world is going through a crisis, and it'll be in crisis for a few years. And there are already a lot of people who are told to come back to Nepal. And I think it could be really, really interesting if we are able to kind of pass this legislation as soon as possible, so that we are, we all the people in Nepal could have some hope to work towards. And I think youth could play a big role in kind of monetizing it, creating a brand out of marijuana, creating, just imagine, weed from the Himalayan, Himalayas of Nepal, I think it is a pretty good brand that we could sell in any other countries, because I feel we have a huge advantage of creating a brand and a market of cannabis in the world stage. And just to just to give you another interesting fact, right? Uruguay was the first country to legalize weed. Lebanon became the recent first country in Middle East, a country like Middle East, right? In Middle East, Lebanon became the first country to approve cultivation of cannabis for medical and industrial uses. And you know how much they have estimated the market to be? $1 billion. And I think and I think that is a huge market. And Lebanon, as a country, which is almost, as a small country which has a very small population like Nepal, has understood the benefit that the product has, the cultivation of this plant has. And I think for us, in the kind of environment that we live, we have a huge advantage of, creating even a bigger market for this. So, at last, I think I'm going to talk about more about cannabis, marijuana, in coming episode, like history of cannabis in Nepal and the world, legalization of cannabis in Nepal and the world, economics in cannabis industries, and what are the different sectors the whole industry could have, and how the economy goes. So talking about more about it so that more people are aware. And also, why Nepal is in such a unique position on branding marijuana in medical terms or recreational terms. So, so we should, so I think we should be smart to say that world we are living in right now has moved forward from all this, conservative thinking on how marijuana would be just a drug and people would people will have a very negative impact in the society. I think we should kind of embrace on how many people are already smoking in Nepal, because I know there are a lot of people who have already knows the benefit. They are doing it very quietly. And what kind of rules, especially for people who have been smoking marijuana for a long time, I think we have a huge role to play on how we can have the conversation around this topic, how we can remove the tabooness around this topic, and how we can help to put into legislation faster, so that the time that we are kind of wasting to get into this industry should not be late, because there's so many things that we need to learn as a country, and to actually be able to make a product that we could sell in the international market is a very far-fetched idea, but I think it has to start somewhere. And there are young entrepreneurs who are ready to invest and build this market. And I guess once we talk about this topic in a very right way, we could actually make a huge difference in Nepal's economy, in world's health, in even solving a lot of mental problems. So I guess I hope I enlightened you with lot of interesting facts that I also have been enlightened with the episode that I just made. And in the future, I hope to bring more interesting topics to talk about, especially cannabis, which is going to be one of the most, interesting topic for me, because I feel like we should be talking about it now. Now, because of the coronavirus, we are facing this huge dilemma on when the economy will be opening, when things will be normal, what will happen to certain industry, rather than focusing on the problem, on what has happened and what might happen in a bad way. Let's try to see that what we could do to actually revive our economy faster than ever. And I think cannabis could be an answer. So, talk positive, So I would say, like, I would say, like, break the taboo and have a real conversation, do some study, do some research, figure out a new way on bringing this topic around your family and your community, so that the whole idea of, this this alien drug that we don't understand, which grows all around Nepal everywhere, does not seem so far away from us anymore. And we kind of embrace that, and we are able to create something very valuable for us and our future generation. Saying that much, I would like to really thank you for listening to me. And I know, like, I am been making a very longer format topics, but I feel like it requires a lot of analysis and a lot of thought before I put it out to you all, so that there is certain value that is created in your mind, and it is not something that you just listen to it and it passes by, but it adds value to your own mindset, and you're more aware, you're more alive, you're more focused, or you're more informed than before. And it gives you a very strong instance, so that you can, when you have a real conversation with anybody else about this topic, you have something to share which is more valuable than usual conversation that we have online or offline. So, saying that much, thank you so much for listening to me till now. I am really grateful, and I hope I keep bringing interesting topics to you. Love you. Take care. Be happy. Stay creative. Keep seeking. Thank you so much.